Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Fanatically Speaking. I am Kent, your co-host, and today I am the host. This is a special edition, the solo episode by me doing a wrestling take. If you don't know about wrestling, and if you're a fan, or if you are a fan, you know that the Royal Rumble is coming up. It is officially WrestleMania season. The company is making a shift. Right at the end of the year, John Cena retired. First of the year, we've already had a couple of title matches. We thought the CM Punk Bron Breakker match was going to be the big one, and it was, and Punk retained. Then we had Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, in which Drew McIntyre took the title off of Cody Rhodes with some shenanigans, interference. Wasn't a straight up. There are 3 stages of hell match, which ended up including at the end with, like I said, the interference of Jacob Fatu, the returning Jacob Fatu, who got attacked by Drew McIntyre some months back. Allegedly, we think it's that. We're pretty much sure that's who that was. I think he even alluded to it. So the Samoan Werewolf is back. He came after McIntyre, ended up getting tangled up with Cody. And then while they were tangled up, of course, McIntyre won that match. As of this recording, Finn Bálor and CM Punk just had a match, and we see a shift in Finn Bálor, right? He's Judgment Day, kind of been, there's always something going on with the Judgment Day where you're like, I don't know if they're breaking up, are they splitting, what's going to happen? And as of right now, the women in the group are really the main focus because Dirty Dom, the Intercontinental Champion, is out injured. JD McDonough's injured. So Finn was kind of just floating watching, Raquel Rodriguez go after the Women's World Championship. And she's involved in this feud with Stephanie Vicaire. And then you got Liv and Roxanne doing the tag team thing, going after the tag team titles here coming up. So for Finn, he came out to obviously a home crowd there and in Belfast, and then the crowd was behind him. I think they wanted him to win, which is crazy, where CM Punk is a fan favorite. But again, the shift. So Finn Bálor, they had a kind of a mutual respect after the match, and I feel like that's going to lead to Finn getting out of the Judgment Day, going back to his usual ways, and then we can get maybe something finally with Finn and Dom, even though, Finn for the title is also a good look. So speaking of the Royal Rumble, speaking of, who's going to win it, all these things, I'm going to get to that. And I really just want to focus on the main event right now. But outside of the main event, there's also, again, the state of the WWE, what does it feel like right now? And that's what I feel like is what does it feel like? They're pushing young stars. You see Trick Williams is up. Obi Femi's coming. And I told you, I said he's ready. And I actually said that Obi Femi has already done a better promo than Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker's getting better, but it's all about how you present Bron Breakker. I'm not a fan of the Vision. I'm not a fan of 4 guys who Bron's kind of the leader and he's going after the titles and everybody else is kind of... Austin Theory to the Vision hasn't added anything. I wasn't a huge fan of Seth Rollins and the Vision, but it was what it was because Seth Rollins was that star. Now, this is that feeling of, remember when Paul Heyman had like Curtis Axel? It's not that bad, but at least he's, like Logan Paul doesn't need this. He's a star on his own. He doesn't need the Vision. He doesn't need Paul Heyman. Again, Austin Theory being revealed, the way he was revealed, how quick they revealed it. It didn't even, kind of play out to make you even keep thinking or swerves or anything like that. I don't, again, he took the pin on Monday, so that shows you what he is. I got my own thoughts about Austin Theory. So just get back to my regular point was, the young stars are getting the push. The Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov. these guys from NXT getting that push. Kit Wilson, but you got a returning Matt Cardona who took the L2 Trick Williams. So now you kind of see what we're getting at. It kind of reminds me of the 2000s a little. We still got the big stars, but like Roman's barely on TV. Roman is barely, he's going to show up for the big PLEs and maybe one or two other ones if it needs to be involved in the storyline. Cody's obviously the top guy, but obviously just loses to Drew McIntyre. So now what for him? Punk is Punk. Rollins is hurt. When does he come back? It's all going to play into that Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Again, who's going to win and then of course the Elimination Chamber. So who's going to win the Royal Rumble? What I think's going to happen what I want to see happen, or what I think's going to happen for WrestleMania. I don't think, I hear a lot of rumors and I'm like, yeah, let's not make the same mistake twice. But anyways, all that being said, again, I get the feel that WWE right now is kind of like ruthless aggression. It's who's the next big star. Again, Bron Breakker has kind of already been crowned without being crowned. And as much as I know people thought, oh, he's going to win the title because Rollins went out, so he's the guy now. He's over the division. He'll win the title. You got to give it time. You can't just say, boom, bam, title. Can't make that mistake, right? I mean, we all do know, like, it's happened. Like, Randy Orton was the youngest champion ever. So, at the time. So, that can happen. But, like, Braun, I thought two things have happened recently that make you say, yeah, he's a star. It's how do you work it? How do you put it? How do you make him? How do you make him more than just, a badass dog, right? That barks. The Stranger Things Raw where he wrestled Punk for the title, he looked like a main eventer. He looked like a star. The following week after the loss where he come running down the ramp and the great camera angle from above, with the spear, that was amazing. Things like that is where they got to go with Bron Breakker. But again, some of the storylines to me have kind of been wonky and weird, and you're like, what is going on? Where are we going? It's kind of making sense now. But again, let's see here. Really just like again, I think one of the big storylines is like Jey Uso. He was presented as main event Jey Uso. He won the world championship at WrestleMania, making Gunther tap. And then, 50 some days later, then Gunther beats him for the title. And then Jey is just kind of in, then he's tagging with Roman. Then he's tagging with Jimmy again. Then he's back and forth going. Now he's in the tournament for John Cena. And then he's in the title, once Rollins went out, the vacant title, he's against Punk. And he came up short in all of that, right? Outside of like maybe a win. I think they won, one tag match on a PLE. So, and then of course now they are the tag team champions. The Usos are back together, and it's like, how did we go from main event Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble in January, and then a year later winning the tag team titles? How does he go from Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, he wasn't main event, he opened the show. So I don't want that same mistake, but I felt like I don't know about why did Jey Uso in a year's time go from that? Did we really give it a shot? Did we really give it a chance? And obviously the crowd loves him, but you get that happy-go-lucky yeet Jey Uso, and then you had the down in the dumps Jey Uso, and then he was mad Jey Uso, and then he was like he was trying to decide on what to do with Roman and Jimmy, and now what is he going to do? He's in this thing with LA Knight and Punk, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I'll just be a tag team with my brother again. But I'm going to still, that one's the weird one for me. But I guess, it is crowded at the top, and especially when we start adding in other people. Hard to figure out Cody Rhodes right now. Obviously at the top, and is he going for a character change? How was this title run versus his first title run? People always complain. Great match to get the title back from John Cena at SummerSlam. And then since then, some good matches. Was there really like any feuds? I don't know. The Drew McIntyre feud was pretty good. They put the title back on Drew, obviously, here at the first of the year. I find it like Cody, sometimes he is Cody, and then sometimes he's like angry Cody. And I don't know the direction of Cody either. And of course, that is stuff to try to figure out. I'm hitting all my notes here real quick, and then I'm going to get into the good stuff here. Where Tiffany Stratton, she loses, and she's just been on, got a vacation. Hopefully Royal Rumble, she's back. Bianca Belair, where are you at? You're going to come back and challenge Jade Cargill? That would be amazing. I am a huge fan of this person, and here's my idea for her. And I'm really, really mad that, and I know titles don't matter. It's all about other things, and I know she doesn't care. But over anybody right now in the WWE, I am a huge fan of Chelsea Green. I think she does everything right, and that means everything. That is, again, people say, "Oh, she can't," wrestling, whatever. Like, who cares? It's the presentation, it's the gimmick, it's everything, and she's got it. And I feel like they've dropped the ball numerous times in this past year. From the time she won it, to the fact that she wasn't on WrestleMania, to losing 3 matches to Zelina Vega, never got one win, and then lost the U.S. title, the first ever women's United States champion. And she loses to Zelina Vega, which is weird. Also, booking, again, weird story, weird stuff going on with Chelsea Green. She's so great, but yet they take the title off of her on a SmackDown. Again, she's not on Mania. That's just crazy. She never gets the title back. Zelina Vega has it. I don't know that people really cared for her at the time. She was a baby face, and I don't know that really people even cared. And then we got into, I think she wrestled like Michin or something, and that was a forgettable, short feud. And then Julia comes over, and so Julia takes the title from Vega. So Julia is this presented as a heel, and then they later are like, yeah, she's got to have something to maybe help her. Obviously, Julia is an amazing wrestler. But just because you can wrestle doesn't mean that you should be the champion or should be pushed or any of that. You got to have a gimmick. You got to have a persona. Now, I'll give Julia her entrance, her music, everything like that, amazing. Her wrestling, amazing. But that's it. She's like a Temu version of Asuka right now. And Asuka at least can be animated and things like that. And then she paints her face, and then even when you don't know what she's saying, she's still entertaining somehow. Julia's not that. So either way, that's my quick hit on Julia, because I'm not happy about this. So she's champ finally. Chelsea Green finally gets into a position to get a rematch for that United States Championship. Well, not even a rematch, just another shot at it, right? And she gets a quick roll-up on Julia to win that. And by the way, I skipped over the whole thing that Julia needed someone. Yeah, Kiana James. They brought her back, and she is like the assistant, the manager to Julia, the mouthpiece. So I watched Kiana James, and obviously in this feud with Chelsea Green, they kind of dropped that she was looking for a new secret Hervis member. She has Alba Fire. She had Piper Niven. Niven's out with an injury, so she's been looking for another one. Funny that she wins the title being down a secret Hervis member. That's weird. It's also weird. It's also, to me, they need to bring Ethan Page up from NXT. They're bringing everybody else up. Chelsea and Ethan, the Canadian connection, that is just everything about that on NXT is amazing. And in AAA, obviously they're the mixed tag champions in AAA. And Ethan Page was the North American champion. So or is, right? Yeah. So Ethan Page needs to be up there also with Chelsea, and it could go all in with her, the Green administration, as she calls it, as the United States, 2-time now United States champion. But the thing I'd been saying about this was, hey, like, you got this thing with Julia and Chelsea, which ultimately led to Julia winning the title back and the fans not caring one bit. She even had a match the next week against Alexa Bliss. The fans still don't care for Julia. There's no pop, no reaction. It is boredom. It is like no reaction whatsoever. There's no way they should not be just really, really pushing Chelsea Green to be the United States champion and to just build her administration. And that would involve Ethan Page and another Secret Service member. That other Secret Service member, I thought, should be Kiana James. She fits the bill. She kind of came in as the assistant with not the suit, but she had the skirt and kind of the jacket, the cutoff. We know everything, belly showing, her special, suit. So I thought, man, if she turned on Julia and helped Chelsea, it does a few things. It helps Chelsea. Now she's got another Secret Service member, or call her whatever, since she is, obviously an athlete and a good wrestler, Kiana James is. And it might help Julia become a face. But Chelsea is also like being cheered and booed / right? Everybody loves her. Again, every time she's on camera, she's amazing. Any backstage segment. So that was the idea I had. I thought they should have Kiana James, join Chelsea, since she was looking for a new member. But that kind of died. So I don't know what happened to that. I don't know where they're going with it. Again, Julia as champion, it's way different than the Intercontinental Championship, right? You had Lyra Valkyria, then Becky Lynch. Maxine had it now for a little bit, but now Becky's back. So at least you've had some good storylines and matches with that women's Intercontinental Championship. It feels like the time that Zelina won, the time Julia won, both times Julia won, we're just kind of like, meh, bleh. I mean, does anybody really care? Does anybody really want them as champion? Where Chelsea Green has the gimmick, the song, everything, presentation, everything. She thinks of these terms. So again, I'd love Chelsea Green. Obviously, I would love for her to win the Royal Rumble, be it WrestleMania, wrestle whoever. I don't know. We had a little bit of a Jade Cargill interaction the one time. But I really just think, hey, just let her be the United States champion and carry that belt and defend it against anybody, and have her have help from her Secret Service, get a new member, bring up Ethan Page, build that thing on SmackDown. You have 3 hours. I've seen enough of Julia. Let her build herself up. Let her the crowd get used to her. But Chelsea Green's it, and I feel like they've really dropped the ball on her. So, I just wanted to hit a few people there, like Austin Theory, The Vision. It's just not working. As I said, I am now sold on Bron Breakker if they present him the way they've been presenting him. I can't wait for Obafemi. Trick Williams has been good. I'm still, not exactly thrilled he beat Matt Cardona, but, I want to see Matt Cardona get up a little bit of a push there as well. But yeah, it just feels, now it feels like a different era. It feels like different. But I think we can't lose track right now that you have to give a good WrestleMania. Not saying the last WrestleMania wasn't. Obviously, with the Travis Scott, Rock, Cody thing, Cena, and then it was a basic match, and the finish. You have to kind of make up for that. Like Triple H and them, they have to make up for that this year. I really think they do. They're going to sell tickets no matter what. Everyone's going to watch it no matter what, and they're going to make money. That's not the point. I think from a fan's perspective, which that's what I am, I would like to see the biggest names battling. But to get into that, here's the vision. Yeah, the vision that I have, right? The first question is, of course, who wins the Royal Rumble? There's two rumors I've heard about WrestleMania matches. Now that Drew McIntyre is the champion, it is going to be Drew versus Cody or Drew versus Cody and Jacob Fatu. I just want to go ahead and get it. Jacob Fatu has been great. He is skyrocketed. But that would be a huge mistake. I don't think Jacob Fatu is the guy you want at WrestleMania main event. Will he perform? Hell yeah. Will he get some cheers? Yeah. But I mean, we just went through this with Jey Uso. And then think about a guy like LA Knight. So Fatu is just going to jump LA Knight. Not only did Fatu beat LA Knight last year, right? For the United States Championship. LA Knight hasn't got that shot. LA Knight hasn't got that push to be, main eventing a WrestleMania. Think about how popular LA Knight is. Think about how good. I mean, he's pretty damn good. He's been in some big matches this year too, but WrestleMania is the match. And I'm not saying he should be in this match. I'm just saying I don't think Jacob Fatu should be involved in the title match at WrestleMania. That's not as they say, sexy main event, right? That would be an opener. We all thought we might get Cody Roman Reigns again because Roman's only got so much time. And that's where I think let's make the most out of Roman's time. He's already made it known. Like, he's not going to wrestle to 50. He's got good, I would say he's got 3 to 5 years. He's already a part-time, basically. He never, like I said, he never shows up, but he is a huge star. He is, if not the top star in this company, in this business. So when you talk about the Royal Rumble, how do we get to WrestleMania, right? The same for Bron Breakker. So that was one idea, right? And then you think, oh, well, we'll probably get Bron Breakker CM Punk again at WrestleMania. I don't know that that's a good idea. And again, back to Roman real quick. There's rumors as well that they don't even know that he's going to be involved in a title match. Then I'm thinking, what match is it going to be Roman and Bronson Reed? Like, do we want to see that? No, I don't. One key thing in all this, and one key thing that shifted everything, I think, on Monday Night Raw was, of course, the Seth Rollins injury to his shoulder. This had a trickle-down effect of now Punk's champ, and now the vision is going to turn on Rollins, and Bron Breakker's being pushed, and now we got to build the vision we're going to add some more guys with Logan Paul and Austin Theory, and there's a lot of things, we don't know when Seth Rollins will be back. So who are my favorites to back? When I say back by WrestleMania, and if that's the case, I'm going to operate like he's going to be back for WrestleMania. And that would set up 2 different matches possibly. Now, how do we get there, right? But I do think it would set up a match between Seth and Bron Breakker, or a title match with Seth, Bron Breakker, and CM Punk. That's a triple threat match that makes sense. That's a triple threat match because Braun has had a little more time to reach the elevate. And then some would argue if he's ready to main event a WrestleMania. That's up in the air. If that's not the case, then I don't know who CM Punk's opponent would be, but I have a theory as well. Because it could be anybody. It literally could be anybody. So let's see here. Who give me? I'm just going to speak right now for the men at the moment. Maybe I may have some thoughts on the women, but in the men's main event, in the men's Royal Rumble, who could realistically win the Royal Rumble? And it makes sense for them to pick their opponent for WrestleMania. One's an obvious one, right? He just lost his title. How does he get back to that point? Is Cody Rhodes, right? He's gonna wrestle Jacob Fatu at Saturday Night's Main Event, but if he would win the Royal Rumble for the 3rd time, then he could choose, right? I'm sure he would choose Drew McIntyre or whoever that champion is. And then, of course, you got CM Punk on the other side at the moment. And again, we have to think about this without the Elimination Chamber. We have to think about the Royal Rumble, who could realistically win it, and then still main event WrestleMania. So they went outside the box last year, right? They went with Jey Uso. So this year, again, I don't know if there's an outside the box pick, but again, my first realistic option is Cody Rhodes. It all makes sense. Again, he wins the Rumble to be able to get his rematch with Drew, as Drew's not given a rematch, right? It's a clause in the contract. He doesn't get a rematch. Another is, I mentioned him, is Roman Reigns. We've talked about this. He's never won the Royal Rumble, and the fans actually cheered him for real, right? He won it, and the fans hated him because he was so goody-goody, and now he's your tribal chief, and it would be nice to see him get that moment to win the Royal Rumble. Now, if champs are the same at the Royal Rumble or after it, and Roman Reigns would win, then he's choosing between Drew and Punk, right? I would see him choosing CM Punk. And then we get Punk and Roman Reigns. Main event, WrestleMania. Last year they had to share it with Seth in that triple threat with all those twists and turns. Reigns has made it kind of known he's not like too fond of CM Punk. But after War Games, he made it really known that he's not fond of Cody Rhodes. That was like, yeah, we're not teaming anymore. Could you have, now outside of either one, Cody or Roman winning, say they don't win the Royal Rumble, could we get a Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns match at Mania, but no title? I don't like that. Obviously, that's a great match, and it would be the third match between them. But without the title, I don't think there's meaning in either one of them beating the other one and saying, all right, we both beat each other for the title, and now I just beat you at Mania. So I'm better than you. No. I think the title has to be on the line for that. But again, let's not waste Roman Reigns' time with us while he's still an active wrestler. But I think he could realistically win the Royal Rumble. Another person, again, I've said his name a few times already. Bron Breakker, up and coming. You know, it loses the Punk, a very hard match, just lost to the veteran. To get that rematch, he could win the Royal Rumble. And of course he would pick CM Punk. I've got other thoughts about that, though. I've got other thoughts about who would win the Royal Rumble and how we get to where we get, right? But I think Bron Breakker is a realistic option. Now, I'd have to get clarification on this, but you know, I know that Gunther and AJ Styles is going to wrestle at the Royal Rumble in a career match. If AJ loses, he has to retire. I think Gunther also declared for the Royal Rumble. I think he is a realistic chance with the run that he's on to win the Royal Rumble. Now, again, is it time for AJ Styles to retire already? We just got into 2026. I would imagine, I thought he would wrestle the whole year. Now, that is an option. I think still that Gunther is an option because say he loses to AJ. How do you make up for that loss? You win the Royal Rumble. You get to declare you win the Royal Rumble, and now you get to pick your opponent, and he would pick probably CM Punk, the guy who originally took the title off of him at SummerSlam. So that makes sense. That gives you that storyline of, yeah, I lost to a legend in AJ, but yeah, but he'll win the Royal Rumble, and then he'll get to go on and main event against CM Punk at WrestleMania. Is it the sexiest pick? No, but he did beat John Cena and Goldberg, and he's been kind of this top heel. And on the Raw side, if Punk doesn't wrestle, if he's not against Rollins and Breakker and them, I could see him. Like I said, I could see it being Roman. I could see it being Gunther. The other name, I'm going to give you one more name because I like to do 5s, 3 or 5 normally, of realistic chances to win the Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania. And again, you got to be a big name. And it all depends on, again, who is the champion. And I keep going back to CM Punk, like SmackDown. The roster, I just don't see outside of Cody. I just don't see anybody winning the Royal Rumble. So the guy who's kind of been on Raw and kind of been missing lately, right? He got injured to the Vision, but he's going to be coming back for the Vision. But again, I think this is my outside pick would be LA Knight. And then he could get his main event at WrestleMania against CM Punk. I don't think a Drew McIntyre. Now, I guess I could see Roman Reigns and McIntyre, but again, that's not a SmackDown superstar. I just don't see anyone else on SmackDown winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, Randy Orton, but then, I think the only match at Mania like that for a title would be Orton versus Rhodes that make the most sense. And I don't think we're getting that. So those are the 5 guys I think could win realistically the Royal Rumble. Which moves me to the Elimination Chamber. It actually moves me to what I think will happen. Again, I'm hoping that it's no Jacob Fatu. Man, what I really, I hate that they're not including Roman. What I really wanted was like a Cody and Roman. And then you get like Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu because they've got the storyline of the injury. He took Jacob Fatu out. Things like that. But from the looks of it, McIntyre, that would only change if McIntyre lost at the Elimination Chamber. Say Cody doesn't win the Royal Rumble. Say that it's Roman Reigns. Maybe Cody doesn't get, maybe Cody does, maybe that's the way we go. And there's a way to get there. And the way you get there is Roman wins the Royal Rumble. And he says he's going to choose whatever title. And I think somewhere we get that. I know the Elimination Chamber, maybe we get 2 men matches at the Elimination Chamber. One would decide the number 1 contender for Punk's title, and the other, Drew McIntyre, has to defend his title. Because you got to think, Drew gets, he feels like he gets cheated by management, by Cody, by the refs. It's always woe is me, right? If you have that, and if you have the Elimination Chamber, somehow, right, Nick Aldis makes Drew, through all his stuff and his arrogance and things like that, we still, Cody, he doesn't win the Rumble, but say it came down to him and Roman or just something like that, right? Maybe we get, like, in the Elimination Chamber, he's forced to defend his title. And Roman's just waiting on the winner. And Punk is waiting on the winner of his Elimination Chamber. I like that idea. And then Cody wins. It's down to, you get a Cody and a Drew and a Jacob Fatu in the chamber, right? And somehow, some way, right, we still, I don't know who else is in there. It doesn't really matter. As long as those 3 are in the chamber, and then somehow Fatu and McIntyre have their moments, and I don't know how that works, but then Cody, of course, comes out the champ. So now Cody has regained the title, and Roman Reigns now knows he's going after Cody to reclaim his title. That's the only way we get there. Now, then you talk about, Punk and Rollins, and how do we get to who's going to face Punk and Breakker, and right? So I gave you the names. Most of those names, all names were really, I gave you Gunther, I gave you Breakker, and I gave you like LA Knight from Raw. So we get elimination. So say we get an elimination chamber. Winner faces Punk, right? None of those guys won the Rumble. Elimination chamber, and Breakker's about to win it, right? Because you got the Vision. They've been battling with LA Knight before. It comes down to LA Knight and Breakker, and a Seth Rollins returns, kind of like, last year he curb stomped Punk to lead to Cena winning. This time he curb stomps Breakker, cost him his chance, and you get maybe you get a LA Knight to win that. And now you're getting LA Knight and CM Punk one-on-one WrestleMania for the title, which would also set up and again, maybe it's not LA Knight. I'm just, in this scenario, it's LA Knight. It could be Gunther. It could be whoever, right? But yeah, you get that, and now Punk's got his match. The other elimination chamber, again, we're going to get Cody, Roman. We're going to get Drew, Fatu, and then also out of that chamber, we're going to get Rollins and Breakker at Mania. Everything makes sense. Now, it leaves out people. It obviously leaves out a Randy Orton. I don't have anything for him at the moment. For Gunther, I'd love for him to wrestle a Brock Lesnar, an Obafemi, but that would be way soon for him, because I think Gunther's got to keep being built. So say he does beat AJ at the Royal Rumble, maybe AJ is done, and then he does. Maybe he either wins the Elimination Chamber again by all that, and he's going to face Punk, or maybe, I don't know how he would lose the Elimination Chamber, but it would have to take a lot of shenanigans. But again, maybe he's not in the Elimination Chamber. I have no idea. But if you got a Brock and Gunther, maybe he retires Lesnar. I mean, Brock is all over the place. The poster, the commercials. He's going to have a huge match. Just what is it? And maybe it's an up and come. Maybe that's the up and comer. Maybe it's the, maybe it's that, right? Maybe it's Obafemi or someone like that. I don't know. But as far as the main event, again, I just want to reiterate that I don't want to see Jacob Fatu in a title match at WrestleMania. I don't think it's time. I think you got to come out swinging. You got to really, 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 really hit it out of the park this year. Again, as I don't know which way they're going to go. That's what I would like to see. I threw out some scenarios there, but if you said, what 2 matches do you want to see as the main event that makes sense and gives you the big star power, I would say that somehow, some way, get to Cody Roman for the title. And give me Punk, Rollins, and Breakker. That's what I would like. Again, that's saying that Seth Rollins would be ready. Again, a Roman Punk would be a huge match if you're doing Cody Drew. Then don't do triple threats, right? I don't add Fatu in there. I just don't. Again, I get it. but I also would not get it. I just, like I said, I feel like it would be another Jey Uso, and you're skipping LA Knight. When is LA Knight's time? He's been so popular, so good. Give that man a main event. Who would get that main event moment? That's a really tough one on who would win between a Cody and Roman. Unless you're going to do a character change for Cody, right? Where Roman wins but I don't know what character that is. I don't know which shift. Cody could easily shift, right? I mean, he's been the baby. And obviously, depending on what city he's in, sometimes they kind of say, man, we're kind of tired. We love your song, but, what is your character now? So I don't know what direction they're going. That's what I'd like to see. And I didn't even mention a possible Jericho at Rumble. Like I said, I really just focused on, I really just focused on the main event there and which direction we could go. And like I said, just the overall direction and where we're at right now in wrestling. On the women's side, I really don't know about the world championship. Like, I know Stephanie Vicare's in a little thing with Raquel Rodriguez. I can't imagine Rodriguez winning it. So I think Vicare will be the champion. It's just who's going to challenge her. That's a huge question because you got Ripley involved with Io Sky, and I think they could kind of continue that on into Mania. Of course, you got to know how when tag teams are put together like that, the end game is that they're going to break up, and of course Ripley obviously has never beaten Sky, so that would be a good Mania match that you don't even need a title for. It just depends on how quick and how long they want to, roll with that tag team before they break them up and do something different. Again, Tiffany Stratton's going to come back. I could see I could see Tiffy coming back winning the Royal Rumble and then challenging Stephanie Vicare. Because Vicare beat her at WrestlePalooza, right? Was that it? One of those, not Palooza, right? Because that's when she won a title. I'm drawing a blank. Was it Crown Jewel? Yes, right. Yeah, it was for the Crown Jewel title, right? Champion versus champion. That's right. Yeah, so give me Tiffy and Stephanie Vicare. I mean, that would be a hell of a match at Mania. And then maybe, like I said, then Tiffy wins that title, the world's title. Jade Cargill, again, my personal would be, where's Bianca Belair? Let her come back, win the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber. Same for Tiffany, right? She could win the Elimination Chamber as well. I just look at who's won it, who hasn't, who's won the title, who's won a Rumble, who hasn't. I look at things like that, and of course for the women, it's so spread out. Obviously, I'd love Chelsea Green to do that as well, but I think she's a really great United States champion, and just build that up. But yeah, who is realistically, going to be there to be the top women for those matches? And the two names I got down are the ones that are missing. Naomi won't be back. Right? She's going to, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's close, but I mean, she would have to be like baby and then wrestle. I don't foresee her being back until like later, like a SummerSlam, something like that. So I would, again, I think Liv Morgan's a really good one, but she's involved in tag team right now, which I thought she was going to be the leader of the Judgment Day. But yeah, give me Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. That would be the money match, right? It's got the history, it's got the story. Give me that. And by the way, Jade Cargill is in my top wrestlers at the moment. I like to always, at the moment, week to week, who are my top people? And a lot of my top people are out. Chelsea Green's always on there. CM Punk is on there, which is hard not for him to be. Jade Cargill. I like, and they say, oh, she hasn't defended her title. It doesn't matter. You know, that badass, as she says, I'm that bitch. Jade Cargill is a heel, and she's way better as a heel than a face. She was in AEW. They're finally doing it here, and let her continue to be that monster heel. And that's what I want. Now, again, we talk about these teams breaking up. I could see Charlotte Flair jumping in there too, and we get that dream match of Flair and Cargill. But again, Bianca Belair, where's she been? It's got the story. It's got the history. But yeah, so Chelsea, Punk, and Cargill are my 3 top wrestlers right now. If I added 2 more to be 5, man, it's really, really tough to add the ones that are on the roster. Like, and I go by like when I watch it, who do I enjoy watching? What do I want to see? And I don't always go with the champion, but who do I enjoy seeing? Who do I think is doing a great job? And man, Dirty Dom was doing great, but he's hurt. Roman Reigns, of course, is not on TV. Cody normally is in my group, but right now I'm just not feeling it. And I'm glad Drew McIntyre is getting a chance to be the champion in front of a live crowd and as a heel, because I think he's a great heel. I mean, he may slide in there. Carmelo Hayes is doing I like him. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's a Bron Breakker is growing on me. So if you just said pick two more as your favorites right now, it would probably, man, this is a tough one. I guess it's got to be Carmelo Hayes. And then again, I think I'm just going to roll with Drew McIntyre instead of Breakker, even though he's growing on me. But I really like, we'll just give it to McIntyre. He's a champ. He won, man. All right. So that's really all I have. This is a wrestling episode, really just to kind of go over all kinds of wrestling topics that are going on right now. Just getting ready for the Royal Rumble, give you my picks of who I think have a legitimate shot to win. I gave you a few women. I don't think it's as deeper as a pool to win the Rumble as the men, just because, one, there's not as many, but I think, again, realistically, who could win the Rumble and challenge, and there you go. My personal pick is Chelsea Green, but realistically, I could see Bianca Belair winning, and normally Ripley would be right there. Maybe even Io now. She's really grown on me to be one of my favorites. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see who wins the Rumble. See if any of my predictions are right. But hopefully, hey, again, like I used to always yell out to whoever's running the NBA, MLB, NFL, I have to do a quick, let me do a quick shout out to Triple H, Paul Levesque, and say, hey, again, Chelsea Green. Give her Kiana James, give her someone, bring up Ethan Page, build that administration, the Green administration, pledge allegiance to Chelsea Green, make her a huge, even bigger star than she is on SmackDown. Push. She is so smart and gifted. I'd love to see her win the Rumble, be on WrestleMania, at least let her get on WrestleMania. But yeah, get that title back somehow, some way from Julia. That's a disgrace. No one can you do not see the crowd reactions. So yeah, outside of that, that is a wrestling take here on Fanatically Speaking by me, Kent, the co-host, but doing a solo episode. We'll see if this makes the air. But yeah, as always, we normally do, me and Log Off and I, correct English, Log Off and I do a lot of sports, sometimes movies, mainly football, basketball, but we definitely do some movies and themed episodes. We did the Diddy doc I like to talk wrestling every chance I get to throw in wrestling takes. I do, to put them on my list of athletes and wrestler, things like that. But I definitely wanted to do an episode where I just get to talk wrestling, the state of wrestling right now. WWE, by the way. And I know all these people say, "Oh, well, you don't like you're not a real wrestling fan." I am a wrestling fan. I just prefer WWE. Growing up, this is a whole nother episode, but again, growing up, I watched NWA, WCW, and WWF / obviously WWE now, but dabbled in the TNA. It just didn't get it for me, but they did a really good job. AEW's gotten my attention at times with, CM Punk when he came back from his hiatus to wrestling. It checked out Moxley a little bit, Sting a little bit. I think MJF is great but they really don't do very well to me with their characters. I think sometimes they go back and forth and you get lost on the storyline and things like that. They may put on great matches, but if there's no story and your gimmick and everything's got to come together. Not that WWE always gets it right. I'm sitting here complaining about, the storyline with Chelsea Green and having Julia as the United States champion. So, but I just really, like I said, I'm a huge WWE guy. I don't have time to watch all these other wrestling. Again, I'll check them out at times just to stay up to date, see what's going on. But again, it's kind of like any other league, right? I mean, the number one league, the number one organization is the WWE. They are running wrestling, and they always have, outside of those weeks that Bischoff and WCW led the charge. For good measure, NWO, Hulk Hogan, that was huge, Goldberg, Sting, all that fun stuff. But WWE is king, and that's what I watch. That's what I try to keep up with. And, so the very first wrestling full episode here on Fanatically Speaking. And again, check us out. We're everywhere. On social media, follow us and comment. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We post our audio on YouTube, and then we are on all podcast outlets. Your Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and all the other ones that I'd never heard of until I started doing this. So as I always say, tap that app on your phone, on your device. Click, listen, like, follow, comment, share. These are the things. Like, listening and sharing is huge. I think the likes are huge as well. We want to grow, and we can only grow with more fans for this show. And again, that is it for today. Ring the bell. This is over.